Apple just made a huge surprise announcement that you might have just missed. I am not talking about new Macs or even new iPhones, but they sort of accidentally confirmed one of their biggest products ever is finally just weeks away from being unveiled. Yes, it's finally happening. So let me tell you about Apple's master plan for 2023. Let me tell you why some fans are really angry at Mr. Tim Cook and what Apple has in store for their first official event of the new year. According to all of the popular Apple rumors, 2023 was going to start off with something like this.
Good morning. We're so glad you could join us.
This was supposed to be the time, the monumental January event where we finally saw officially their latest and greatest creation, the long-rumored mixed reality AR/VR headset. But obviously, that didn't happen. Instead, Apple sort of used this time to hold a special event, in sort of a weird way, to announce products that were supposed to come before the end of 2022. Of course, I'm talking about the all-new M2-equipped MacBook Pros and the M2-equipped Mac Mini. And in case you missed it, yes, these are Apple's latest and greatest Macs in the lineup. They've got the M2 Pro and M2 Max chips inside on the MacBook Pro side, and on the Mac Mini side, you've got your choice of the M2 or M2 Pro. You've got some improvements here in terms of power and efficiency, lots of nice little things across the board. But what you probably notice is that there is no design change to speak of. That rumored Mac Mini redesign did not happen. Mac Mini is looking same old yet again this year. And also on the MacBook Pro side, all of the improvements are under the hood. There is no cosmetic design change here that you're going to notice on any inch of this machine. And of course, don't get me wrong, it's nice to get some new Macs, nice to see some new Apple Silicon, all of that is all well and good, but there are also a few parts of this announcement and event that were a little weird and a little unconventional, even for Apple. For example, the way Apple usually drops these press release announcements are, well, sort of as the name suggests, via press release. There's sort of a wall of text, you've got some photos, maybe you're gonna see an Apple produce video like what happened with the iPad Pro and the new 10th gen iPad, but that's about it. This is the first time they've done this virtual event style for what many would consider sort of minor spec bump upgrades for already existing products that have no meaningful design change. And if I was to put on my tinfoil hat for just a moment, I'd have to ask whether or not this was intentional. Did Apple do this to sort of make it look sleek and talk about their new processors and show how great the M2 Pro and M2 Max are? Or was this actually part or supposed to be a part of another Apple event, either in September or October or November of 2022, that just didn't make the cut? Because remember, up until a few weeks ago, the prevailing theory in the Apple world was that the headset was going to be announced at a special event in January, so there was no time to talk about new Macs. That would have had to have been done last fall, but that didn't happen, so did Apple create this to sort of build some hype, or was this something left over they decided to edit and release as something seemingly brand new? And also, on that same theme, the release of new Macs in January is a bit odd. Apple has been known for making January their keynote month for big sort of events. We got the iPad first gen announced at an event in January, obviously the iPhone in 2007, even the MacBook Air in 2008. There used to be Macworld, it was a big thing, but Apple has sort of phased out doing any major events in January, specifically new Macs. Usually this is something they like to get out before the end of the year, usually around the summer for back to school promos. So to have this released in January sort of does seem a little weird. It seems like Apple is sort of clearing the way, releasing some products now so they can free up all of their time in the spring for something totally special and totally new, but come back to that more in just a moment. Okay, so moving on from some bad news to good news, let's talk for a moment about some new news on the iPhone 15 side, because there is some exciting stuff we should cover. Some new features are in the works. It was recently reported that Apple has begun small-scale validation testing and production of the 15 line to really start to finalize the design and features before full production gets underway sometime this summer. And even though we're still about 9 months away from that happening, there's still a lot we know about the iPhone 15 line right now. For example, we've now heard over and over again from from multiple reports that the iPhone 15 Pro series will not have physical buttons, instead going with fake buttons that'll emulate the tactile click. We also continue to get confirmation that many of Apple's Pro and iPhone features are finally moving down the line to make the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus more exciting and giving you more value for the dollar. Specifically, features like the Dynamic Island will be available on all phones this year, whether you go Pro or not, and also some features like the really amazing 48 megapixel main camera from the 14 Pro and Pro Max will be on every single phone next year, including the regular non-Pro 15 and 15 Plus. We may also see a titanium frame on the 15 Pro series. We should get some new colors across the board, maybe even USB-C on every single iPhone. Yes, it's finally happening. All that is good. But with the good does come some bad. I do have some news to share about the iPhone 15 that I know many of you are not going to be happy about. So let me say it now, you've been warned. At least one new rumor suggests that Apple will be raising prices on the iPhone 15 line, specifically with the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max or 15 Ultra or whatever Apple calls it, to really widen that gap between the regular 15s and the Pros. I should also mention that rumors about a big redesign have really cooled off over the last few weeks, and we haven't heard really any more mention about it. Again, Mark Gurman had sort of speculated that we could see or should see a more major redesign this year, 2023. We had heard some rumors that Apple was going to round the back on the iPhone 15s and give us something new and something that looks a little bit like this. But as of late, we've heard no information. So as of right now, sort of anybody's guess is as good as mine. I hope we see something significant. I hope we see something new, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the design of the 15 really doesn't change all that much compared to the 14 series that we've got right now. And then sort of iPhone 15 aside, the big question sort of remains, what's Apple's plan for 2023? Again, according to recent reports, Apple doesn't have a whole lot in store this year, at least in terms of major hardware upgrades. Yes, we're gonna get an Apple Watch Series 9 and we might get a couple of iPads this year as well, but these are minor spec bump upgrades, as Apple really diverts a lot of their resources and time into this headset project that, yes, after years and years of rumors and will they or won't they, should finally be happening this year. And if you needed even more evidence that this headset is closer than ever before to finally becoming official, look no further than the Apple Music beta version that is on Windows. Yes, Apple is actually releasing beta versions of their Apple TV and Apple Music apps for Windows. Yes, surprise, surprise. And like we saw in iOS versions and macOS builds and plenty of other Apple software, we see continued references to different parts of this headset in that software. The prevailing theory right now is that at least 3 Apple events are on the books, so to speak, for this year. One in June with WWDC, sort of a very long-standing Apple event where we get new software. We'll see iOS 17. That's going to be happening in June. We should be getting, obviously, an iPhone announcement in the fall, probably September, where we should get new Apple Watches and new iPhones with the iPhone 15. And then at least one other event is supposed to happen, according to those in the know, that will give us the reveal, finally, of the headset. Apple is supposedly dedicating an entire event to showcasing this headset, and as of right now, rumors are pointing to sometime in the spring, so either March or April, most likely, for a reveal of the headset with some more info on it at WWDC in June, and then a more proper actual release to the public sometime later on, probably near the end of the year, maybe in the fall around October or November-ish. But with that being said, there are a couple of other Apple products still set to be released this year that could constitute a 4th Apple event if Apple wanted to squeeze one in, or at least a few more products that should be dropping via a press release sometime over the next couple of months. Those would be products like the 15-inch MacBook Air, the Apple Silicon Mac Pro, and then a couple other wildcard rumors. We've heard that Apple might be readying a couple of new displays for this year, maybe an update to the Pro Display XDR, and maybe a Studio Display Pro. So what are your thoughts on Apple's plans for 2023? Do you think they are getting out these new Macs and getting the processors out and everything in order to sort of clear the way for this headset announcement in the spring? Are you excited about the iPhone 15? Your thoughts on price hikes potentially? Is that good news or bad news? And sort of your thoughts on the year in general. Are you excited for what Apple has in store? Are you a little disappointed? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate you. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.